I can't believe you're all here today on such a beautiful day. And aren't we lucky to have such nice weather? So thank you for coming. Janice, as you know, is Janice Ryan. She introduced me. And she's a good friend and an artist. And Jim Boughton, gentleman over there. Hi, Jim. He is going to videotape our class so that he can put it on PEG TV. So I think everyone's okay with all that, I'm sure. So, and I also have people who are helping me. I have Sue Hummel, an artist friend of mine, and a couple of young ladies, Heather Bradley, my daughter, and Kira Thomas, right, Kira? Who's here. So they've been here helping me set up. So, does anybody know what neurographic art is, or any idea about what it is? So I've been doing art for mostly all of my life, but for the last 20 to 30 years, I've been doing it more professionally, which all that means is that you put your art in a gallery, right, and you try to sell. And what it does is it inspires you to keep pushing yourself and to do more art. And I do have a lot of it, and in my home and in other galleries, and I have a lot here. And I put a lot of it out here for you so that if you'd like to look at it anytime or you want to get up and walk around, feel welcome to. I put some prices on if you do choose to buy any, but don't feel you have to by any means. I just wanted you to get to see everything. And I wanted to show you some things that you can do with neurographic art. First, we're going to start with mostly just the process. So in front of you, you have a piece of paper, the white paper, and if you would pull out a black marker that's in that little bag, and just a black marker for now. And we're going, does everybody have a black marker? Okay, if you don't have a Sharpie, it's okay. It's just that the Sharpies are more permanent and they won't bleed out on your hands and wherever. So the other three markers we're going to use after. So what we're going to do is do a 1, 2, 3 step. And this is what makes neurographic art so great. It's so easy. Anybody can do it. And you don't have to be an artist, and maybe you will be when you get done this class. I think you're going to have fun. And mostly when I sit down and do neurographic work, I'm usually working on a couple other projects. And sometimes when I'm home and I feel like I don't really want to do a lot today, do you ever feel a little guilty when you say that and you just sit down and don't do anything? So this little process is something that you can go to anytime. You can start 1 hour, 10 minutes ago, or go back to it whenever you feel like it. And that's the other thing I love about it, and it really is a simple process. So I would like you, if you wouldn't mind, to just follow along with me. That's going to be my piece of paper, and I'm going to use a nice big black marker as well. And after a while, I probably won't talk, and I'll play some music so we can relax, and I hope you all will be able to do that and have fun. Okay, is everybody kind of ready? Yeah? Okay. So the first step we're going to do, number 1, is just simply draw lines. And if you follow along with me, then you'll be able to see what the procedure is like. So all I'm going to do is draw from one side of my paper all the way to the other, or to any edge of the paper. So in other words, I'm going to do this. And I'm feeling pretty good today. How about you? Yay. And I'm going to go up there. So there's one line already done. Go ahead, you can start if you want. No, you can do anything you want. And take your time when you draw. And just think about maybe something that you may be bothering you, may not be. But I don't do the psychology part of neurographic art because I'm not a psychologist. But I can tell you how great it's been for me and the transition into it. So if you want, you can start on, like I'm going to start down here now. The important thing is that the lines cross. See that? That's what you want to try to do. Have the lines cross. Okay? Now you can put a lot of them on here. I'm starting from one edge, going up to another edge. I see a blank space here, so I'm going to try to go from here. And it doesn't make any difference where you end up. Does that look a little crazy to anybody? That tells what I'm like. Is everybody getting that okay? Are you able to? Okay. Now I also see some kind of bare spots down in here, so I'm going to do some down here. And I might do one more down here. What do you think? Think I need any more? Let's just do one through here, and out. Okay, how's everybody doing? Is it working okay for you? Ooh, nice, nice. Maybe another one coming through here, so only because I need some cross lines, and I'll show you why in a minute. That looks great. Did I get all of you? Okay, so everybody looks like they've got their lines all drawn. Are you happy with them? Pretty good? You're going to be happier when we get done, really. I promise. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do, and this is the important part, and this is the neurographic part. So sometimes you'll see drawings of, or paintings with drawing and line work, which I've done before, but I never knew about neurographic art until recently. And it sort of fell right into what I like doing normally as an abstract artist. So, but the neurographic part of it points out, and if you have YouTube, anybody here go on YouTube at all? If you do, they have tons of videos. But the neurographic part of that's important is filling in these sharp edges. See where all the sharp edges are, where the lines cross? There's a lot of them, aren't there? And this is the part where you can relax and start filling in the little corners and try to get all those corners filled in. And we're going to play a little bit of music, and it'll just be something that you can relax with, okay? So I'll show you how we do it. So you can see there's a sharp corner here, right? So you're going to just fill it in like that. See how that looks so different? It's softer. Does that make any sense to anyone?
So now do you
I'm going to.
on the right-hand side of that line, do you do that side too?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
You got it. So any place there's a sharp corner, here's one here, all right? So we're going to do, I call it a backward or a half circle. Whoops, that was a mistake. Can you see that all right? Let's try this pen. Now here's another one. Then make a half circle, and you fill in that area. So it all looks like one line continuously, but there are no sharp edges on it. Yep, keep going with the black pen. So this will take you some time. Now here's a real good sharp edge here, a sharp corner. You go to half circle. And then you can follow over your line again to make it all look like it was done that way the first time you did it. But the filling in the corners and the sharp edges and the rounding is what should help you relax. And if you're not relaxed, lift your shoulders up, drop them down, take in a deep breath. I do that all the time, and I can make myself relax doing that. But this process is supposed to be free. It's supposed to be what's coming out of your brain, which is where the neurographic art comes from the neurons in your brain. And the neurons dictate what happens in the rest of your body, or what you do in the rest of your body, which is where we go to the graphic part, which is drawing the lines, and then we're going to add color later. Okay, so I think you'll have fun with all this. And take your time, fill in your sharp edges, because we know anything that's sharp, like a rose. If a rose has sharp, what do roses have on them? Yeah, if there's any of that, that makes the rose, it makes it feel hurtful. But as soon as you just look at the rose, you feel better, you feel relaxed. And so that's why we get rid of all our sharp edges on this. That's one of the reasons. Is anybody having a hard time doing that? Did I hear somebody say they were frustrated already? Are you? No? Okay. Are you getting this okay, this process, is part of it? Does it make sense?
I really don't know what we're doing.
Here, I'll show you. So you see this little corner right here? Anywhere that there's a sharp edge like that,
I'm sorry?
you see the sharp edge here? Just bring the pen through it. So
Just go over.
Anybody else having a hard time with those soft edges? And a lot of times, I'll show you another thing I think works good for me. Hello. I call all of these little areas cells. So if I concentrate on just one cell at a time, I find it easier to see where my edges are going. I'm sorry, I got to get a different, this pen is not working right. Bad pen. I tried to get a really big one because I have such a large area to cover. Let's try this one. So this to me is a cell. See this little area right here? And if I look at each cell separately, I find it easier to make sure I get all of those corners filled in. And if I'm looking at all over, it's a lot for you to figure out. So here's another corner. There, see how soft that looks now? I made my lines too long, too wide. Okay, now see the difference in this cell now without all the sharp corners? See how nice and round it is and how soft it is? Okay, is everybody ready for some color now? Hello? Are you ready? Hello? Yeah? All right. She has hers half colored already. Good girl. Good job. I like that. It looks beautiful from here. So now you can fill in your cells with color. Any color that you prefer out of the 3 that I gave you. And normally you will have a lot more, like I have a number of different areas where I hold all my pens. So these are all acrylic pens. So I had to bring all of them because I never know what color I feel like at the moment. And I do have 2 more of these buckets, by the way. So this is one type of thing you can use. You can use acrylic paint to fill in all of these places. You can use watercolor, but as you know, watercolor is not permanent in that if you drop some water on it or your hands are messy and you touch it, it'll move. And the paper that you're working on right now is 110 pound, just regular paper, but it's 110 pound, which is quite a bit heavier if you notice than say your printer paper by far. And it's nice and smooth, and it makes it even easier to draw on or just line draw. You can also use, I have some of these that I brought in for you to see. These are acrylic brushes, but they're like a marker. Aren't they cool? And they're really fun to use. So you don't have to have paint in front of you and brushes, you get everything right in this little, I'm afraid to tip it up too much, in this little container. So this is another thing. You can use anything. You can even draw on a piece of newspaper if you want and put these lines on it, and it'll come out amazingly well. So it's fun and it's easy. You don't have to spend a lot of money to do this. You can use paper that the kids bring in from school, that type of paper. So now I'm going to start doing some coloring, and I didn't finish all my sharp edges, did I? But I'm going to show you ahead of time before I do mine, because I think some of you are very ready to. So whatever colors you like, I often will only use 3 colors, quite honestly, or 5, sort of just to make them look good together. Or they can be something that the colors that you prefer. A lot of times you'll go on YouTube, they'll say not to color every single cell in a different color. Well, guess what I did here? Because I was told not to do that, so I did it. And that's kind of what I usually do. That's how I've kind of have grown with my art, by trying things. It doesn't mean you should do that, but it means that you should allow yourself to do that. Allow yourself the luxury to do something different. And when you get done with it, you'll be quite surprised, I think, at how much you really are enjoying it. And so that's what we're going to do here. So anyone want to choose a color for me to start with? Tell me a color, somebody. What was that? Magenta? Okay. I think I have it. This might be the closest. Not dark enough, though, is it? No. Let's do a real magenta. So what other color would you put with a magenta? Do you mind if I use red instead? Because I have a nice big red marker. This is acrylic, this is a Posca. This is a larger Posca pen, and notice the nib. The nibs are the little end, little tip around the end, and some of them are finer than others. And since I have such a big piece here, and I have to admit I'm struggling with the size of this, I'm going to use this bigger marker. So I'm just going to color. All I'm going to do right now is just color. And you can color all these in and fill them in, and then later maybe we'll do some line drawing with it so that you can see what else you can put in there, like put in patterns or little dark areas that represent something. I can't remember what it's called, but it's coming. So let's say I'm going to fill in this whole piece right here. And this is my red, orange, magenta. So I kind of put that, maybe I'll call that a focal point, because it's bright, isn't it? Now, could I put a different color around it? Sure. Or could I do 2 or 3 or 5 of those cells all of the same color? Perhaps. But let's just play with doing different colors. And you have 3 colors, so you don't have a lot to choose from. So you go ahead and start doing this if you'd like. I'm going to move mine around. I'm going to do one there. I'm going to put one over here. And usually, if you move your colors around, you might want to put in 3 cells of one color or 5 cells of one color. And that sort of goes along with making a nice composition, basically. So does anybody know the complement of red? Does anybody know the color, the complement of red? Green, right. Okay, so we're going to make this one pretty bright. So my next three cells that I'm going to do them in green, and I'm not going to fill in the whole cell. I'm just going to do the outer edges of the cell, just to show you just another way that you can play with this. So my pattern will be like this. And try to keep your corners and your edges nice and round. And leave your black line showing. As you're going around all those edges and the corners, make sure if you have a sharp corner left, fill it in just like you did with the black. Like right here, for instance, and right there. Sharp edge right here. Fill that in. By the way, you can use a canvas too if you want to do some of these art pieces, and then you can even frame some of them, believe it or not, like I did over there. We'll take a look at some of those after. But a lot of what happens in your life and where you have been in your life will come out on this, because you're not thinking about anything else. You're just trying to fill in those corners, and it sort of drops you down and relaxes you as you're working. And then you start, as you filled in your corners, and you start, if you want to add color, you can even do all those black and white. There's some up here that I did just in black and white. So
did
it really.
You do that on purpose?
No, I have no idea where any of these come from when I start. Seriously, yeah. Seriously, when you sit down and start doing this neurographic work, I find that I have no idea where any of this is going to come from. And that's why I brought all this stuff, because when I put that paper up there, or that, actually it's a mat board, to draw on, I didn't know what I was going to do. I try hard to do something that's a little simpler, but what I always end up doing is adding more and more to it. And that's how I am with everything in my life. Even though I think I simplify, a lot of times I don't. Those are beautiful. Oh, I love your coloring. Very nice, nice colors. Red isn't one I use a lot lately, but I'm starting to use it again. Ooh, pattern. So what you might want to try is, I'm just going to put some simple line drawings inside of each of the cells that I've already started. So you could just do something like that. So you end up getting your color, right? You can still see the color even though it isn't solid. And it makes it a little more interesting, doesn't it? Now here's another one I love to do a lot is circles, and that's just kind of an easy feel when you're just wanting to rest a little. Just do a little circle and then do another one. And by the way, you don't want anything perfect, right? No. Don't worry about that. Okay. And you can make your circles all different sizes. Then you can fill in where the circle isn't and make the whole shape green, or whatever color you're using. And now you can also put some pattern excuse me, inside of a colored piece or a colored cell, and just use your black marker because you already have black in your painting or in your piece. So it's all going to continue to go together. And yellow is pretty, it's bright, but it's kind of boring, isn't it? So let's put in, let's do one of these. How about, I've got that, got that. That's a circle. Let's just do the circles around the edges. I want to thank you for coming, and don't forget to take your goodies home and do a lot of neurographic art. You got all your goodies? Cool, you take them home. Those are for you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, don't forget to take those home.